Again, for the Solicitor General. Sir, you said that it is a political question. So my question is, if the House approves the 3 resolutions and the Senate approves its similar resolution, will the government agencies like your office and the DOJ still wait for the decision of the President, regardless of the resolutions passed by the House and the Senate?
Certainly, Your Honor, because your resolutions urge the President to cooperate. So the final say of whether in fact the government will cooperate will be with the President. Yours is an expression of sentiment. That is how you feel about it. But that is not something that is binding. It all depends on the final decision of the President whether he will grant your request that we cooperate. Nasa kanya po yan. And he has repeatedly declared, ito nga po yung sinabi ko earlier, na we cannot give our cooperation to the ICC prosecutor. Nasabi niya na po yan several times. Now, if he will think twice because of this resolution coming from...
Good friend of mine, Tony Guevara. All right, because you made mention that the withdrawal to the ICC is a political decision. So I just would like to also be enlightened, no? Being a non-lawyer, okay? Because in a declaration of principles and state policies under the Constitution, where the Philippines adopts the generally accepted principles of international law as part of the law of the land and adheres to the policy of peace, equality, justice, freedom, cooperation, and amity with all nations. Is that also a political declaration?
I think so, Your Honor, because it's a declaration of policy.
Well, to me, that would be more questionable, Attorney Guevara, no? What I'm saying is, when it comes to the Constitution, it is not just a political declaration. It is the Constitution.
Yes, Your Honor.
Now, I'm not a lawyer, but I understand it, you know? That is not a political declaration. It is the Constitution we are talking about. But you were referring to the withdrawal to the ICC as a political question or decision, am I right?
Your Honor, let me just clarify what I said. I was referring to the matter of extending cooperation to the ICC. That is what I said, na political in character, whether we will cooperate or not. So that's basically, well, as I said, a political decision. That's why I had to explain from my end the legal position, because the legal position will have a very significant bearing on the matter of making a political decision.
All right, as we start our hearing today, I just would like to reiterate the importance of this resolution. And I'm referring to the resolution I filed. Why is this resolution important? What does it represent? House Resolution 1477 reflects the country's commitment to, let me mention, first of all, upholding the rule of law. Our commitment to the rule of law is a fundamental pillar of our democracy. By cooperating with the International Criminal Court, even after our withdrawal from the Rome Statute, we demonstrate that no one is above the law, and we are accountable for our actions. This resolution is about principles, not personalities. And the rule of law is a sacrosanct principle. Even our Supreme Court says that despite the country's withdrawal, the Rome Statute, and I quote, the ICC retains jurisdiction over any and all acts committed by government actors until March 17 of 2019, end of quote. Number 2, protecting human rights. Cooperating with the ICC underscores our commitment to upholding human rights. We recognize that a fair and impartial investigation is essential to address allegations of human rights abuses. This is not just about the international community. It is about standing up for the rights and dignity of our own citizens. Keep in mind that this resolution is also about protecting the human rights of those being investigated, their right to due process, their right to be innocent until proven otherwise. Thirdly, building trust and credibility in our criminal justice system. By cooperating with the ICC, we strengthen our commitment to transparency and accountability. This, in turn, builds trust both domestically and internationally as it shows that we are willing to address allegations head-on, fostering credibility in our justice system and democratic institution. This resolution is not questioning the credibility of our justice system. We know it's working. We know it's working. The question is, does the ICC know it's working? When there are accusations being hurled by some of our own people on this term. And fourthly, ensuring justice for the poor. The war on drugs has affected the most vulnerable members of our society, often the poor who are disproportionately impacted. By cooperating with the ICC, we send a strong message that justice is blind and applies to all, regardless of socio-economic status. This is a crucial step towards ensuring justice for the marginalized and undeserved. Fifthly, preventing impunity. One of the key reasons for establishing the ICC was to prevent impunity for the most serious crimes of international concern. By cooperating with the ICC, we demonstrate our resolve to hold individuals accountable for grave offenses. This sets a precedent and sends a powerful message against impunity. And number 6, exacting global accountability. Even though we withdrew from the Rome Statute, the alleged crimes under investigation by the ICC occurred during our membership. We owe it to the international community and to our own citizens to demonstrate that we take global accountability seriously. Our cooperation with the ICC reflects our willingness to be transparent and responsible on the world stage. After all, we are members of the community of nations. We cannot isolate ourselves. And lastly, is strengthening international relations. Our cooperation with the ICC is not just a legal obligation, it is also a diplomatic opportunity. By engaging constructively with the international community, we enhance our diplomatic relations and show that we are a responsible global citizen committed to shared values of justice and human rights. I mentioned all of this to you today. Also with the view, because a certain former congressman attacked me in his YouTube channel. Dadaanan ko lang yung YouTube eh. Tapos nakita ko, I'm not going to mention his name anymore. But he was a former colleague and supposedly a friend. There are 3 resolutions that have been filed in this committee. But only one resolution has been talked about and only one author has been called Kengkoy. Now, hindi po ako napipikon dun eh. But a former colleague saying that to another colleague, it's something that cannot be just passed on without me commenting on what he's trying to say. Kaya ngayon, ating pag-uusapan kung sino talaga ang Kengkoy dito. Siya o ako. Abogado po siya eh. Ako hindi eh. Oo. The thing is, he even mentioned that I might not even be supported by my own congregation. Try me, Mr. Ex-Congressman. Try me. I have 6,000 pastors all over the world. Try me. Yun lang po. Thank you.
It's truly an exercise in futility that you adopt jurisdiction over the offense and you frustrate the exercise of jurisdiction because it has lapsed, particularly so when there is no rule in the Rome Statute with respect to the time frame within which the ICC or its prosecutors should act. Now, may we know whether the state party to the ICC, like the Philippines, would have concurrent obligations as well as residual obligations.
Ang tinatanong niyo po ay ang ICC or ang member state po ba? Ang tinatanong niyo?
Yung member state, the member state of the Rome Statute, which created the ICC, thus the member state like the Philippines have concurrent obligation when it is still a member, or when it is still a state party, and has residual obligations after its withdrawal becomes effective.
Yes, Your Honor, definitely. Habang siya ay miyembro ng ICC, naturalmente lamang po na meron siya mga certain obligations to perform as a state party to the Rome Statute. At meron din po siyang residual na obligations like halimbawa po yung mga contributions, mga financial contributions. Kahit na po siya ay nakapag-withdraw na, kung meron pa po siyang mga financial obligations, ay patuloy pa po niyang kailangang i-discharge yung ganong klaseng obligation,
Mhm.
which is residual after the effectivity of its withdrawal.
Maliban sa financial obligations, meron pa ba na residual obligation ang isang state party na nag-withdraw na with effectivity?
Maring mayroon pa po yung sinasabi nga na residual obligation to cooperate. Opo, pero yun pong obligation na yun ay hindi na magmamatter kung talagang effective na po ang kanyang withdrawal.
Ang gusto mo, hindi na residual yun kung effective na yung withdrawal. Ang residual ay after the effectivity of the withdrawal. Ang sabi mo ay merong residual obligation with respect to financial obligations.
Yes.
Meron pa bang ibang obligasyon?
Kung ang tinutukoy niyo po yung ay after the effectivity of the withdrawal, wala na pong legal
Wala.
duty
Wala
to
na.
cooperate.
Wala na. Nabasa ba po ninyo? Talaga yun, nabasa naman ninyo yung
Article 127.
Article 127.
Yes, sir.
Ano sila sabi dito? Let me quote again. This was quoted previously.